All right, hi everyone. So if you don't have a piece of notebook paper in front of you yet, go grab yourself a piece of notebook paper, pause the video while doing that, and then when you come back, title it Using Properties of Equalities. Please put the standard down for me so I get it in the right spot in the grade book, and of course your name and the period number, okay? All right, and then after you do that, you're gonna again wanna pause, keep the video paused, and you're going to want to write all of this down. So just make a nice little chart or table and write it down, and then come on back, okay? Okay, so you all have your sheets set up now. I am going to actually solve this out of order because when you go to take your EOC, it won't necessarily have you do this for a whole problem. It might just say, what happened in step 3? And you need to understand that when they're saying what happened in step 3, it doesn't mean what are you doing to get to step 4. It means how did you get to step 3. So you're always looking at the one above it and saying, what did you do to get here? So let's start out by answering that question. What happened to get to step 3? So I'm going to look above and I'm going to say, well, I noticed the 58 on this side has not changed. It's the same on both sides. So that already tells me it's not an equality property because it only changed on one side. So let's take a look. This 8 is the same as it is here. But then what I notice is they have the -6 first and the 8x next. So what did they do? If they changed the order, that is commutative property. And let's just put a box around the CO to remind ourselves that that means we changed the order. Okay, let's jump to step 5. So what did they do in step 5? Well, let's look above. Now I'm going to notice that this has changed and the 8x is the same, but the 2 is no longer here. So that means both sides of the equation have changed. So we know we're talking about one of our properties of equality. So how do we get rid of that 2 from this side? Well, we would subtract the 2. So that must mean we'd subtract it from this side also. So let's see if that works. That's 8x on this side, and that would leave us with 56 on this side. So indeed, to get to step 5, what they did was the addition, subtraction property of equality. Oops. Okay, so let's jump back up to step 2. So what happened in step 2? Well, I see that 58 was the same. So this side of the equation did not change, and the 8 had not changed. So all of this looks very different than this, doesn't it? So what did we do? It looks like we distributed the 2 out. And if we do the math, we'll find out that's exactly what they did. So distributive property. Okay, let's jump to step 6. So what happened in step 6? Well, I'm looking above and both sides changed. So again, we're talking about one of our properties of equality. The 8 is now gone from this side. So how did they make that disappear? Well, it was 8 times x, and the opposite of multiplication would be division. So I tried it out, and that gives me the right answer. So it's going to be the multiplication division property of equality. Okay, and step 4, what happened in step 4? So again, we look at step 3, and I say 58 is the same. My 8x is the same. But what I notice is this, oops, no, not that. The 8x is the same, but both of these have disappeared and they've been replaced with a 2. So it looks like two things are going on here. They did change the order, but we're not going to write that one down because ultimately what's going to end up, we're going to just combine our like terms to write this down. And so they're looking for equivalent expression here, writing an equivalent expression. For the commutative property, you're actually going to see the change take place. And so that's not why we're not going to write it down here. It's been implied, so actually what did they do again? They combined both of these, and so combine like terms or equivalent expression is what we'd write. Okay, let's try the next one. Again, let's go out of order because we shouldn't have to follow an order to do this. So let's start with step 5. Let's see, what did we do to get to step 5? Well, I notice that both sides of the equation have changed. And I have an x, but it's all by itself now. So the opposite of multiplying by -6 would be dividing by -6. And let's take a look. Oh, yep, that worked out. So what did we do to get to step 5? We did the multiplication division property of equality. All right, let's go ahead and do step 2 next. So what happened in step 2? Well, I see that this is the same as it was up above, and I see this is the same as it was up above, but nothing else looks the same. So how did they get these numbers? Well, they must have distributed this. So let's write that down. All right, and then let's jump to step 4. So in step 4, what did they do? So again, I'm going to look above and I'm going to say, well, this number changed and this side of the equation also does not look the same, so that tells me inequality. So I have my -6x here and I have it here. So what's changed on this side? My -5 has disappeared. So I'm guessing that they probably added 5 to both sides. So let's check that out. That would indeed make it disappear, and that would turn this into 42. So what they did for step 4 was the addition, subtraction property of equality. I know this might seem confusing, me going all over the place and not doing it in order, but like I said, on a test, they're not necessarily going to give it to you in order. They're just going to ask about one of the steps. So it doesn't really matter which one they choose, okay? So for step 3, let's see what happened. The -47 had not changed. The -6x is here. But I see, be careful here. The 5 is not the same because this is a -5. So we have a 5 and a -10 that is somehow turned into a -5. So what did they do? They combined like terms or wrote an equivalent expression. And you know, I wrote equivalent expression on both of these, and I need to back up and apologize. That should actually be writing an equivalent equation since we have an equation here. So let's go back and cross those out. Hopefully you're using a pencil and you can erase and just write equation. Okay. That's what's so good about pencils, right? All right, so it's time for you to do one on your own. And remember, this will all be turned into me. So I need to see this piece of notebook paper with the work showing you watched the video and did it along with me. and it will also include this problem that you are going to do on your own. Please write a squiggly line or something to show me where this problem is. Make it obvious, make it neat so that I can find where all of these 3 pieces are, okay? Turn this into our bin once you get back to class.